to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by TheLines.com. It's Josh and Nate coming to you on Wednesday, right before the NBA All-Star break. Just one more night of games after this one. 13 games on the slate tonight, and we are running through play-up props for each and every one of them, at least the ones that we like. Also have a best bets video up as well that we're bringing you each and every weekday alongside these play-up props, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along with us. Also want you to head to thelines.com, as I tell you about every morning, to make sure that you are using that odds finder tool, especially. It's a prop finder tool that shows you all of the odds and bets that you can make with all of these player props that we have in the NBA this season. So, Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first NBA player prop here.
Yeah, Buddy Hield, let's go over 17.5 points here in his fourth game with the Sixers, and second game without Tobias Harris, who's going to be held out through the break, it looks like here. I mean, Buddy Hield, just what they needed at the right time. Clearly, to kind of find some offense with Embiid out and just kind of refashion their whole offense here. It's now like a triumvirate, if you will, with Oubre slotting in for Tobias Harris and taking some pressure off Maxey, who, you know, I was initially looking at a Maxey under here, 27.5 points or 35.5 points assists. Like, he's just not gotten there without Embiid unless he's like suddenly hitting these crazy step backs like he did against Utah. Since then, teams have been game planning, shutting him down. I actually looked without Tobias Harris, like without that secondary option next to him. He's gone under that 9 straight. But rather than fading Maxey against a Heat team, a road trip and Heat team on a back-to-back here, you know, there is some variance. There's always variance with Maxey because, like I said, he can get hot. Let me just take Buddy to be his buddy. And he's averaged 22 in 3 with Philly with a 130 offensive rating, shooting really well. Miami is most vulnerable against these kind of sharp shooting, 3-point shooting guards because they funnel things away from the paint, right? They limit paint points, they limit free throws at all costs. As a result, they've allowed the 4th most 3-point attempts in their last 15 here. Buddy in his career has topped this number at 12 of 15 against Miami, shooting 40.5% on nearly 10 attempts from 3. So we saw, again, when the Heat sold out against Maxey because Embiid was missing on Christmas, Maxey had a terrible game. Toby and Oubre shot 10 for 16 from 3. They combined for 50-plus points. Same situation for Buddy here. And the Heat are on a back-to-back. They allow 114. They allow 5 more assists per game, and they allow teams to shoot over 37% from 3 versus like 34% on normal rest. So I love staying hot with Buddy here.
Yeah, and I do like the Maxey under as well because, I mean, basically Spoelstra is Belichick when it comes to just bracketing your wide receiver. Like, this dude's not beating us. We just decided that guy's being taken out of the game, and Tyrese Maxey needs help. We've established that. Like, he doesn't have the shot off the dribble that people will respect the 3 enough to like essentially like elevate his quickness, right? Like, his quickness is somewhat diminished by the fact that you can play off of him because he's not shooting well without Joel Embiid from deep. That's a huge part of it. So I do like the Maxey under, which is just correlated to your over for Buddy here, which I would agree with. And yeah, I do not like the Miami Heat in this one. We're going to see everybody sitting once again. And then, yeah, you've got a Philly team that really has nothing to lose but the guys that are going to be in there for them in this one. And Buddy is going to get some field goal attempts, man. He loves it when he just is like, there's nobody else here to shoot besides Maxey. That's great for me, right? What are you, Korkmaz going to get some shots up? So I love this bet so much, by the way. I'm about to put 1.2 units on it so I can get a full unit back. And that is Jakob Poeltl under 21.5 points and rebounds. And if you've been following the show, you know how much I love Jakob Poeltl, and I love to take overs in the right spots for him. But this is just such a ripe spot for an under because this is a different team now. This is a team that I do think we're going to see play a bit faster. I think they're still live for an over in that Pacers-Raptors game, which is at 245 now. And I still think it's probably like a 247 game with the way that the Raptors are just going to keep not playing defense. And now we've got Kelly Olynyk in there playing a few more minutes and taking away those minutes from Jakob Poeltl. Poeltl's 32-ish minutes that he was playing when he was healthy, sans the injury that he incurred like the last couple of weeks when he came back. Like, he was playing 32 minutes, 33 minutes at times because he's the only center on the team. There was nobody else to get a rebound, to get to really more importantly, to protect the rim, right? There was 0 rim protection there at this point. I mean, they were relying on Pascal when Poeltl was hurt before Pascal got traded, and obviously he's gone now. So while Poeltl was playing those 32, 33 minutes, I think you fully buy into the 20 minutes that he's averaged in the last 2 because Kelly O has also gotten 2 minutes. If you think the great white hoax from Canadian is not going to get his minutes on the Raptors, you're crazy. Kelly O is going to be out there speeding things up, which was the impact that we saw him have on Utah. Same situation. Kelly Olynyk comes in. He starts eating into the minutes of the rotation for Walker Kessler. That team plays way worse on defense, even though they're not very good anyway in terms of the Jazz. And then now Kelly O's gone. Walker Kessler comes back in. Things change over there as well a bit, right? And they play a smidge slower and play a lot better defense, more importantly. Kelly Olynyk is not a rim protector, but he is enough to give Pirtle some breathing room. This is also a situation where I was coming here to go under Pirtle before I saw all the minutes, the way that the rotation has played out in the last 2 games, because this is a game with the Pacers, and the Pacers have actually been good at limiting centers as of late. Now, earlier in the season, they weren't necessarily good at limiting centers, but they did limit them because the majority of their points are coming in transition. A lot of centers are still lumbering back and not able to get all the way down the floor to get the rebound and get in position for that. And so their numbers would diminish a bit. And if you weren't a versatile shooting big, you eventually probably got run off the floor anyway against this Pacers team, which is the case with Pirtle as well. And I think Kelly Olynyk is actually just a better matchup in this game. Like, you don't see Miles Turner backing down Kelly Olynyk as like the go-to method of scoring for this Pacers team if they leave Kelly Olynyk in. Plus, Kelly Olynyk's playing with the backups a bit more, so he's going to most of his minutes will be staggered against playing with Miles Turner anyway. And so he'll be like a small ball center versus another small ball 5 that will be on the floor for the Pacers. Indy neither of these teams are good at offensive rebounding, so I'm not really worried about Pirtle getting in there and doing his thing. But Indy is really good in terms of their paint for percentage around the rim. I just don't think there's going to be that many opportunities for rebounds, which is a big reason for why Indy has limited opponent rebounds. It's not because they're awesome at rebounding. It's because they're making a lot of shots, and a lot of their shots are being made at the rim where centers are coming up, contesting them, and then not being in position for the rebound. That seems to be a lot of what's happened, especially over the last 7 games for this team. That's why Indy's limited centers to the 4th fewest points per game over the last 7 as well, including even though they played against guys like Nick Richards, but more importantly, Şengün, Domas, and Kristaps all went under their totals as well against this team. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and rock a Pirtle under here because I don't think he's playing 25 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like Miles Turner is going to be out, though, through the All-Star break. So I don't know how that impacts it. I mean, I guess you see more Isaiah Jackson, who's a little bit smaller, and then you're allowed to play more Kelly Olynyk if you're the Raptors. I mean, it was just a weird addition for them getting Pirtle last year, right, when they were supposed to be selling and rebuilding, and then they extend him for 4 years. So I don't know. He really doesn't fit with what they're doing right now. If we look at just the narrow it down to this season, where you're trying to get Quickly and Barrett integrated and play kind of an up and down style, and that's why we saw Olynyk jump in and get so many minutes, because it's like, yeah, let's play high scoring basketball and not like play this gross pack it in style that Jakob Pirtle would fit with. So it makes sense if he throttles down the whole rest of the season, given where we're at.
Which means Raptors overs are in play all the time now.
All the time. Here's one I will put 1.2 units on because I'll eat that juice, or go 11.5 rebounds, assists for Trey Mann where it's available. But 10.5 is very low for this guy.
Agreed.
Who is, kind of a really good per 36-minute player. When you looked at him at OKC, he was just blocked by several guys ahead of them. On the season, getting 7.7 rebounds, 9.4 assists per 36. Even last year was, up around 15 of those peripherals in 36 minutes. He actually hit this in just 18 minutes in his final game with OKC against Portland. And then in 2 with Charlotte, he's averaging 10, 6.5, 8, playing 30.5 minutes per game, got up to 34 minutes in his second game with Charlotte, has a nice 32% assist rate, a nice 19% defensive rebounding rate, and is playing Atlanta, which is going to give up the stats all over the place. 3rd most rebounds to point guards last 30, 4th most assists to shooting guards. He's kind of playing both here, off and on, with Micic coming off the bench at times, and just overall 6th most rebounds, 5th most assists from the Hawks on the road. It should be fast paced. It should be high scoring enough for Mann to get some assists, and he's still kind of undervalued in this new starting role.
Yep. I'm not afraid of the points either. To be honest, I like both of them. Weirdly, the Hawks in their last 7, giving up the most points per game to point guards, haven't gotten any better, I assure you. 4th most rebounds, and I love the tenacity of the rebounds as well. So I'm with that bet. The assists should be there as well. The thing that would temper me on the assists and has me leaning towards points rebounds for Trey Mann in this one is weirdly, I don't know how much of stock you put in this. The Hawks are limiting point guards in the last 7 games in terms of their assists, in part because they're giving up 33.5 points per game to opposing point guards combined, right? Like whomever's playing point guard for the other team, not just one dude. But I do like that. The potential assists we're at 12 games for him last game, and he still got 9 off of it. That seems like there's a little bit of regression coming, but still think he's live for like 5 to 6. The 5.5 assists was juiced all the way down to the over, which is why it's also like you're on that cusp of 10.5 for bad juice or 11.5 rebounds and assists for good juice. And I think it's just one of those things. What's your preference? I think you and I both would rather not be kicking ourselves if he gets one fewer than he needs. And we just, 70% of something is better than 100% of nothing, as we say. So let me go to my second best bet, here, which is another center that I'm actually going over with. And I'm taking Alpi Şengün, big time friend of the show, over 9.5 rebounds. And I thought about adding the points, but it's 30.5 points and rebounds combined. And this might be a yucky, muck it up. No, it's going to be. It has to be. It's Houston and Memphis. Memphis, such a bad rebounding team that I'm not wanting to have to like rely on Şengün to get points in what could be a blowout. Although the Rockets, missing a number of key guys that could keep this thing a bit closer than you might think. But either way, the misses will be there for Memphis, and they are the second worst. Let's call them the second worst rebounding team in the league at this point. It's just crazy to think about a year ago when they had Steven Adams and Brandon Clark and guys that were limiting Jokic at times. Like they had such good rebounding that there was just no second chance points available, and they are not that team anymore. They are a bottom 2 team versus centers because they don't have a center anymore. Even if you wanted to consider Xavier Tillman a true 5, well, he's not on the team anymore, right? I believe he's on your Celtics now. So, which was a really nice pickup for them, as well as Jaden Springer. Can't wait to watch Jaden Springer lock up some people in the playoffs. That's going to be fun, I'm going to be honest. But for this Şengün bet, in the last 15, Memphis allowing the second most rebounds per game overall, 6th most points per game. And I'm sorry, that's to centers specifically. They have the worst rebound percentage in the NBA over the course of the last 15 games. They are just 46.5% rebounding percentage, not getting very many of them. Şengün, I do like the fact that we've gotten a couple unders in a row for dude, right? He went under because he got hurt versus Toronto, came out of the game, was questionable in this last one versus the Knicks, toughed it out, was a huge reason that they ended up pulling out a win, in addition to the referees helping them out, as we both know. And then, God, the Knicks can't catch a break sometimes. And then in that one, he had 17 rebound chances, 3 rebounds, because 100% of his rebound chances were contested. Like, the Knicks were like, okay, well, Jabari Smith isn't even playing. There is one dude who can rebound for us, against us, and that is Alperen Şengün. So we're going to just throw the entire arsenal of big men at him, and there's going to be 2 to 3 guys boxing him out on every play. That's a big reason for why. So now we get him in a situation where we get a little bit of value. I do think this would be about 10.5 if he wasn't coming off of this stuff. And as we know, the books love to just look at the recent numbers, realize that the most novice of bettors are just looking at recent numbers only and going, well, he did this recently, so I guess he's going to do it again. And it's just not that enough correlation there. You got to dig a little deeper. So the other thing I would say lastly is Şengün's offensive rebounding is awesome. He has been averaging about 4 of those over the last 10 games. That's a lot of offensive rebounds for those not in the know. And this Memphis team has been awful with the bottom 10 in terms of allowing offensive rebounds to their opponents as well over the last 15 games. So all of that is ripe for Şengün to get over 9.5 boards tonight.
Yeah, you can put a name on the awful numbers. It's Jaren Jackson Jr., who's just not a non-rebounder and should not be considered for Defensive Player of the Year until he learns how to rebound. And he's been thrust into a much bigger role because of those injuries and trades. And yeah, now Steven Adams sitting in street clothes on the Houston side, certainly not going to help out for Memphis. And I think, you're buying low for sure on Şengün because he's already played Memphis 3 times and not topped 8 rebounds. Yep. So again, you might be getting some value because of that. But yeah, he gets 10 rebounds routinely when he does get a full slate, when it's a close game. And, opinions are kind of split on this. Like, it's -2.5. The Rockets can't seem to win on the road. The Grizzlies can't win at all. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the blowout as much in this one, right? Yeah. Like, if anything, maybe there's a random blowout on the other side. Just kidding. Memphis can't score. They're going to be throwing out too many G Leaguers. So that's all the time we have for you in this one. One more day of games here on Thursday that we'll be bringing you as well. Also going to have an all-star weekend video looking at futures bets here for all the events on Friday, Saturday, and then obviously the game on Sunday. Will Josh try to take another under in an all-star break? Definitely want to tune in to find out as we go from there. So appreciate everybody following along. Continue to subscribe to that page if you would, like the video and all that. And until we see you next, happy betting.